Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Matt Rose. What's up, Matt?
Hello, it's freezing cold and I have a cup of tea here on this early morning.
Wow, what's up, Chris?
What's going on, guys?
All right, so we're talking about Terminator Dark Fate, and Chris has some stuff to say. So what's up, Chris?
It just keeps getting better and better with this movie.
Oh, God.
So yeah, this is going to be potential. Well, no, it's not even potential. These are spoilers for Terminator Dark Fate. So if you don't want to know, movie comes out November 1st. So if you don't want to know, stop watching now.
Okay, November 1st. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was Mr. H that broke this news. So go see his video for the original story. You can also find it online from where he reported from. I don't remember exactly where, but
okay.
So we know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in this movie.
Right.
And he's playing what we assume to be a T-800, of course, which is the normal Terminator that he normal model of Terminator, I should say.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know, this Terminator is very special because this is the Terminator that kills John Connor.
Right.
He goes back in time and he succeeds in his mission to kill John Connor.
Right.
Now, we don't know who it was who sent him. It probably wasn't Skynet, but it could have been potentially. Maybe it was a Terminator that was sent during the time of Terminator 2, because apparently now it is canon that the T-800 and the T-1000 that we saw in Terminator 2 Judgment Day were not the only Terminators that were sent back at that time. Apparently, Skynet sent multiple Terminators back. At least apparently that's what they're going to say in this movie.
Oh, so I knew they did send a whole bunch. Okay.
So now, here's the thing. We don't know if that is the story that they stuck to, or if they're going to say that the new operating system, Legion, is the one that sent this T-800 back. I don't believe...
I don't think it's Legion, but go ahead.
I don't think that it's Legion, because Legion has built Terminators that look aesthetically different than the ones that Skynet has built.
Right.
Apparently, this operating system has opted to use some sort of carbon fiber building Terminators, which is why they have some sort of black, like gunmetal look rather than the steel kind of look that the T-800s had. But anyway, I'm getting off the point here. I'm actively trying to avoid this plot point because this is one of the stupidest things that I've ever read. So I'm just going to get right into it because I know all of you are like, just get to the point, Chris, please. So I'm going to get to it right now. This T-800 is married and has a child, apparently. And not only that, he owns his own drapery business.
Wait. They are able to reproduce?
So no, I don't believe that they are, because they did address this, and they did so, and it was something that I didn't, want to hear ever.
They adopted?
I guess it's an adopted child or stepchild or something like that.
All right, so he fell in love. He got married. They adopted a child.
And he opened his own drapery business.
A drapery business.
Yes. By the way, the T-800 in this movie is named Carl.
Carl. Okay.
Yeah. And now, again, I want to stress that this is the point, okay? This is the T-800 that killed John Connor.
Yes.
This one, it succeeded in its mission, and it killed John. Not only did it kill John Connor, it killed John Connor right in front of Sarah, and was like, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
And altered the entire timeline.
Well, no, the timeline was already altered, because the events of Terminator 2 Judgment Day are still canon.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, they didn't know that yet, because they were sent back.
Well, the Terminator doesn't need to know it. It had one mission: kill John Connor.
Okay, so
at this point, Skynet was already defeated. It was already gone.
Right.
And now this T-800 was just kind of stuck in the past, I guess, which I guess it would be no matter what. It killed John Connor. At this point, however, it doesn't really matter that John Connor's dead now, because of the events of Terminator 2, we have the operating system Legion instead of Skynet rising, and John Connor was no longer the leader of the Resistance. It is this new character who the Rev 9 is now trying to kill.
So the timeline of a new leader is not because John Connor's dead?
Allegedly not.
Ah.
Because it doesn't matter. Remember, Joe, they destroyed Skynet in Terminator 2. It was gone. There was no point for it to be around anymore.
Okay, so he doesn't form the resistance because there is no resistance, but then this thing starts later?
There is a resistance. It's just not the same one that fought Skynet, because there is no Skynet now.
Well, what I'm saying is Legion started later?
Yes.
So he would have been older anyway.
Who?
At the time, John Connor.
Well, yeah, but again, though, it now, I guess, the destiny of mankind no longer rests upon his shoulders because it didn't fucking matter.
Oh. Okay.
So the main thing I'm trying to point out here is that plot point that we heard about a long time ago about the T-800 having some sort of like, oh, wait a minute, I fucked up. That was apparently true.
What?
That this T-800 somehow came to the epiphany that he shouldn't have killed John Connor.
Right.
Now, I ask you, how the fuck did that happen? Because the T-800 in Terminator 2 didn't start learning things until they set the chip to read-write mode. How the fuck did that happen with this T-800?
Well, all right, before we get into that, talk to me about this married life.
We don't know. Yeah, okay. So in the interviews for I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger that said it, or the actress who's playing his wife, they both talked about what it's like, I guess, for this T-800 to be married, and they were like, well, he's the perfect husband because he doesn't complain and he doesn't argue with his wife and he just listens because he doesn't have any emotion. They're basically trying to be like, yeah, this is what the ideal husband would be like.
Wait a minute now. If he doesn't have any emotions, then why would he fall in love? Why would he even want to get married and fall in love if he's just a machine and he can just exist?
Well, that's the point. Once these things finish their mission,
right?
That's it. They're machines. They don't.
Right, he don't need to get married. He doesn't have an emotion to be.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I brought up this point before. There's a deleted scene for Terminator 2 where it's in that scene where they're in the mechanic shop, and it's that scene where he's like, hey, will these heal? And the Terminator goes, yes, my skin is living tissue, yada yada yada. And there's a point where John Connor's like, can you learn human emotions and not be such a dork all the time? That's the line from the movie. And in the deleted scene, the T-800 says, yes, but he says something along the lines of like, my CPU needs to be set to read-write mode in order for me to do this. So they
is the wife a computer program?
I have no fucking idea. It wasn't very easy for them to do it in Terminator 2. They had to like cut his head open and like
he is like the woke society that the Terminator is inferior as a man and the woman is superior, and he doesn't answer, doesn't question, just follows in line to what she does, and that's perfect because he's just a man that's a servant.
I'm not gonna go there. If that's what they are trying to say, then fuck this movie.
So dark woke, like that's what we should call this.
But I'm just trying. What I really want to know, because they could say in the movie, okay, the chip was set to read write, and then I would be like, okay, it's kind of weird, but I guess because the T-800 was starting to learn things in Terminator 2. Right. So, here's the thing. If they don't say that in this movie, then I don't understand what the hell is going on, because that completely goes against what Kyle Reese was saying in The Terminator, where he was like, it has no emotion. You can't reason with it. It will not stop until she's dead. What happened?
So Judgment Day doesn't happen.
Not the way we know it.
Right. And a John Connor that leads the Resistance at that age doesn't lead the Resistance because it doesn't start yet. But technically, it starts when he's like 70, maybe. Like, in other words, no, I know he's dead. I know, I get it that he's dead. But before he dies and that timeline's created, where, whatever, he would have been too old to lead anyway because the thing started later.
It didn't start that much later.
But he was old when he was leading it, wasn't he?
He was in, I think he was in like his 40s when he was leading the first one.
He was 40s.
I think, anyway.
So now this would start when he's 60?
Well, no, because apparently, like, this movie picks up like a short while after Terminator 2.
No, I know it picks up a short while, but when the new operating system goes online would probably be much later because, again, the timeline...
He'd be in his 50s and 60s, but again, it doesn't matter because he's dead. So...
Right, but what I'm saying is basically it was pushed back like 20 years.
Yeah, basically, you know what they did? They took the fucking plot from Terminator 3, where they were like, Judgment Day is inevitable.
Right.
And
it's like a ripple.
They just slapped the label of Legion onto Skynet now.
Like, in other words, it was a ripple in a pond. It got pushed back because it was inevitable. But now, even if he did live, he would be too old to lead them anyway, possibly.
Well, no, I don't think he would be too old to lead them. In fact, he'd probably be a better leader because he'd be like, listen, I've dealt with something like this before.
Okay.
To do.
See, my main thing I have a problem with this movie is the fact that this movie was always about John Connor. And the fact that you take that out of the equation makes me not want to see it because it was always imbued in our head, programmed almost. John Connor. John Connor needs to live. John Connor needs to grow up. John Connor needs to lead. John Connor needs to send Reese back. John Connor was determined, the whole thing. And when they took that out in Genesis, I'm like, what the F? But now, like, taking the main thing, the purpose of the whole entire franchise out of it, for me, makes me not want to see it because you took the whole thing that held it together and you destroyed it. So the whole thing of anybody could be a leader, like, to me, it's not that way. Like, in other words, you know, there was a reason he was a good leader, and then a new timeline was created anyway. But the whole point was that it wasn't just anybody could be a leader. He was the leader, right? If he was gone, maybe they wouldn't have a leader. Maybe they'd be done. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, yeah, this one's a leader now. So I don't like that whole thing, you know? And the fact, oh, yeah, she's the leader now. I don't accept that. Just like in the comics, they try to make it like anybody could be a hero. No, not anybody could be a hero. Not anybody could be a hero. So you lose the whole, I don't know what the word is, but.
Well, you know why they did this. It's very.
They want to do a rebooted Terminator movie.
Right, and so basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to introduce the magical, because this is the excuse that they give for everything. They're trying to introduce this magical new generation to the Terminator.
Yeah, but you don't do that with the whole new like that. Nobody.
Well, but here's the thing, though. That's exactly what they do. They do that for everything now. They did it with Star Wars. They try to do it with Ghostbusters. They do it with everything.
Right.
So what they're trying to be like is, well, we need to adapt this to the times. And what is the most prevalent thing in media in our times now is that, well, we have to have these strong female characters.
Yeah, but see, this is the problem. That's only a certain section of society that they're covering. That believe that's the way it is, not the whole overall.
No, I know that, but you want to know why they cater to that? Because that portion that believes that is the loudest.
Well, not necessarily.
Joe, come on.
Here's the thing. The only reason he did this is because he wanted to prove to Kathy Jenkins and Gail Gadot that whole battle about he could write better female characters than she could for Wonder Woman.
Right.
And this was born only because of a disagreement and a Twitter battle.
Where did all that stem from, though? It stemmed from the idea that Wonder Woman was this character that everybody wants, and that's because the portion of the people that wanted to see it speak the loudest.
Right.
So, and here's another thing, too. James Cameron apparently was not involved in this movie as much as everybody thinks he was.
Okay.
There were reports that came out there like he was barely on the set. He never really got too involved with it.
So, but here's the thing. It took him forever to get the rights back. Why wouldn't he stick his face into it?
Because he's preoccupied with Avatar.
He loves Avatar so much.
Yes.
That screw everything else.
Basically. Why do you think he's having Tim Miller direct this and he didn't do it himself?
But doesn't he understand that, like, so listen to me, he has the opportunity, even Disney said, right? Hi, Phillip.
Hello.
James Cameron has the opportunity now to do Terminator, possibly do Alien, do all these different things, even though he says, I'm going to do Avatar till I die. I'm doing Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I'm done probably, right? But even though he's made a statement to that, right? He has the opportunity to do like so many projects, so many love letters that he would want to do in the past, so many different things. He got the rights back to Terminator, he got this. So you mean to tell me that regardless of all of this, he's putting everything aside and putting all his eggs in one basket, the Avatar basket?
Yes.
And he doesn't understand that while, yes, the first one was a massive success, it took him too long to make a sequel. Like, he may not get that audience. People probably don't even effing remember what the hell Avatar is. That's not even, he's trying to do, I understand what he's trying to do. He wants to have his own thing, like his buddy George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and he wants to have his own damn franchise that's on par with Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in his head, it's the ego thing. It's like, oh, if I do this, I'll be remembered for Avatar like George Lucas is for Star Wars, right?
It's not necessarily an ego thing. He just really likes the story.
But he really believes that this is going to be huge.
Yes.
But it may not be.
It may not be, but you could say that about every movie.
But does anybody really throw everything they have into one project like that?
Yes.
Breathe.
Yes, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
I don't get him, man.
I'm telling you. You want to know why Terminator was not his priority? He looked at the past 3 movies that came out.
But he wasn't a part of it.
Wait. He looked at the last 3 movies that came out, right? He saw the reactions of them, and he was like, I ain't touching that.
But here's the thing. If I was in his shoes, and I did Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and then I lost the rights, or whatever he did with the rights, right?
Uh-huh.
I'd be counting the effing days down to getting it back, right? The moment I got back shit that I fought for fucking decades to get back, regardless of what I'm doing, I would have been like, I'm fucking in that shit 100%. Okay? I don't care if I'm doing the adult Smurfs grow up on another planet with trees. I'm effing doing Terminator fucking whatever. Okay?
Okay,
I would be like, this motherfucker's gonna have $350 million. Fucking John Connor's the fucking shit. It's gonna be ridiculous, right?
Right, but that's you. You're not James Cameron. That's it. That's black and white. So if James Cameron looks at that and goes, no, I'm not directing that. Tim, here you go. You do it. I'm going to do Avatar. That's the reality we're living in.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, here's the thing, right? You can't look at something you didn't create, right? And judge how it declined. Because again, what I remember is that 3 had one of my heroes growing up being a drug addict locked in a dog cage, like begging this woman. Like, I was done when I saw that. Done. And they killed Linda Hamilton's character. Done. Right? I was just done. You ruined it. Now, I did like Salvation, right? But again, it was something I would have wanted James Cameron to talk about that story. Right? Definitely. And of course, it doesn't count now, right? And I did like it. But people were turned off by it because 3 was so effing bad. Right?
Yep.
That they just missed the boat with that one, obviously, because that one was a good one, but they were pissed off about it, honestly. Then you go
Wasn't
and
it because of Arnie? Wasn't it because of the CGI double for Arnie in it?
Well, the fact that he really wasn't in it, that kind of pissed people off, yeah, that much. But yeah. But the thing is, then you go with Genesis, which I had high hopes for, until they ruined it in the trailer. And then I'm like, oh,
yeah, because
John Connor's a villain.
Didn't they also hype that film up to be Matt Smith, the main part of the film?
Right, but John Connor was the villain, which defeats the whole purpose of the future.
I called that like weeks before the trailer even came out. I was like, anybody?
They betted on 3 films for that franchise before that film got released.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, anybody noticed that Matt Smith has only been on 1 promotional picture for this movie? Mm-hmm. He hasn't been seen in anything else. And then the trailer came out and he wasn't in it. And I was like, doesn't anybody think that's a little suspicious? And then finally it came out and I was like, he's going to be Skynet, isn't he? Or he's going to be some kind of Terminator. And then the fucking movie starts, then, yep, he's Skynet. Yep.
Yeah.
And then that franchise bombed after it cancelled their next 2 films.
So he's just looking at movies he didn't do and judging the franchise based on shit. And
well, I don't trust what James Cameron says a lot of the time anyway, though, because
I thought he liked the last one.
This is well, that's what I was about to say. This is the same guy who, in a promotional thing for Genesis, was like, the movie started and I'm seeing all these things that are familiar and I like what I see. And then a couple months ago, he was like, yeah, Genesis wasn't that good.
Right.
And it was like, oh, okay, cool.
I'm still waiting for him to do Titanic 2 at this rate.
Titanic 2? What are you going to do with Titanic 2?
You know, somebody.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
They already they already did Titanic 2. There's an asylum film called Titanic 2. Go watch it. It's hilarious.
I don't care. So, Phillip, what are you thinking?
They're also allegedly building a Titanic 2, like an actual ship. So
yes, I
know.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Not happy about that. Yeah, no.
I don't think I want
to. That's bad. Yeah.
But anyway.
Lost track. Right.
This Terminator also has this epiphany that's like, we have to stop Legion. So I'm gonna.
One more thing before we go into that. So, like I said, him looking at all these things that suck and he didn't create, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't he want to be in fear that someone else is going to make a worse movie with, like, John Connor being a veterinarian or a dog, like a drug addict or whatever? Like, why wouldn't he just want to take the reins completely, knowing that these movies suck? I don't get that.
Again, because he's preoccupied with his passion. And that is not going to be overtaken by any film franchise.
And even if it bombs, then that's what he's doing anyway.
Well, I mean, he's obviously hoping that it doesn't fail.
Right.
Well, look how long it's taking. I mean, Avatar 2 has been talked about for years. It's not at least coming out for at least another couple more.
I mean, and he's doing up to 5, which would be when he's like a senior citizen.
Well, Avatar 2 comes out in friggin' December of 2021, I think. So,
right, but by the time Avatar 5 comes out, it'll be...
How
old is he now?
Be in,
70s, right? He'll be in his 70s.
Yeah.
Which we know, again, nothing against them, but when they get older, the way they look at movies is a lot different than they were when they're youth. So...
Yeah, and how can they change it? Because that film was so CGI heavy. How is it going to change with the technology at the time the second one comes
It wouldn't
out?
change. It would just be... more CGI heavy.
A more clearer. I think it'll be more crystal clear with the cameras because they get better each film.
I just think that, like I have Star Wars, then a couple of years it was Empire, then a couple of years it was Jedi. It's way too long for Avatar 2 to come out. He lost his audience.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think he's going to be able to get it back.
Look how much a break Star Wars went on after Jedi. It didn't come back from 83 till 1999.
Right, they had special editions, and then they had, right, exactly.
The Phantom Menace.
No, but they rebranded it, and I was working in the toy industry at the time. They rebranded it. They put out special editions, and then they put out a new toy line, Power of the Force, I believe, right? And they basically captured that audience back, and then he did Force right. Then it was, but still, there was stuff coming out that like the figures were out for years and decades, and it's not like we have Avatar figures out there that people can't wait to have.
No, I haven't seen toys for that since the film came out.
That's what I'm saying. It's going about it the wrong way, I think.
I was going to say that wouldn't it have been served better if you did an Avatar sort of like animated TV thing, so people can get themselves back into it, and then when the movie comes out, then people will jump on board.
It would have been better if Avatar 2 was out already.
Yeah, but I think it's too late for that franchise now at this point.
I don't think he's going to do what he thinks he's going to do. I don't think that Avatar 2 will do $2-3 billion. I think it will be lucky if it does $700 million.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Before we go back into the Terminator thing, there's one really, really elusive wild card here that was not present
Disney
in 2009 or 2008, whenever it came out. The Chinese box office.
And Disney owns it.
And Disney, but it's that Chinese box office, right? If they love this movie and it goes through the roof over there, that's it.
I know. But
that's game.
Which they're very concerned with Disney, the Chinese box office, because they're trying to create something Chinese Star Wars for them to get involved so that the Chinese box office welcomes Star Wars movies in there, because they haven't been too kind to Star Wars movies in China.
Well, that's not just a Disney thing. That's always been the case. Like, it just isn't as popular over there as it is with them.
No, but Disney doing what they're doing now is just ridiculous.
Well, going back to the Avatar 2 thing, if it does well, whatever. But going back to the Terminator thing, which was the main.
This is not going to do well.
I hope it doesn't, because if it does, we're in a lot of trouble.
I honestly told you before. I said that if this fails, he's going to do it himself.
No, I don't think he is.
I mean, I saw the trailer today for it in the cinema. It looks good, but how the final film will deliver is another story.
It doesn't. It looks okay to me. It looks like Alien 3. Like it looks like they got a guy from Madonna videos doing Alien 3. They ran out of money for weapons, and they're like, yeah, use these sticks. And we can only afford one alien, not like 20. So I this is like when Species got B movie, C movie, D movie, E movie. Like, every Species went downhill. So when it went to worse than made-for-TV movie. Who's eating? Who's eating back there making that noises? Is that you, Matt Rose?
No, I'm not eating.
Who's that? Who's that?
That sounds like
you?
Phillip.
That's you, Matt.
No, I'm not eating. I haven't eaten for hours.
Let me see. Okay, talk.
Hello.
All right. Think it's you, Phillip. I don't know. All right.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get. So you think this movie's gonna do well, Chris?
No, I don't. But what I'm saying though is that if it does, by some miracle, do well, and it's well received,
we'll make more shit movies like this.
Yeah, but you know what's gonna be. I was thinking about this a little bit recently. Let's say this one is not good, but it's better than 3 and Salvation and Genesis. you're going to have a whole shitload of people saying, "Oh, it was better than those, so it was good."
Well, yeah, this is. I know what you're saying. Because can I give an example? I know we don't like numbers. I finally covered the X-Men reboot of the comics, right?
Yeah.
And the guy did a dramatic change, making it that now the X-Men are all assholes. To them, Xavier's dream is dead, which is the whole concept for him forming the X-Men and everything. And that he would rather sit at the dinner table with mass murderer mutants who are more respectable to him than a soccer mom. So in the comics, he established that humans are scumbags and we need to take over the world, or like not bother them, but if we need to kill them, we need to do everything. And basically Xavier did everything he would never do. He fucking let Emma Frost erase their minds, do Congress votes, all this shit, dangle cures for cancer in the air to get what mutants want, to where people are rooting for the Sentinels to kick their ass, and because they are scumbags. I mean, literally, everybody's on this island, and Apocalypse is sitting at the dinner table, Mr. Sinister, mass murderers that has probably killed his own people, and he loves them compared to humans now. So now they're all villains, they die, and when they die, he grows them in an egg, like a chia pet or something, in 72 hours, and just all of a sudden now he's like Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, putting their souls from heaven or hell back in their body. So you lost me, and I hate it, and it's horrible, and I think they're doing this to have A versus X2 Avengers of X, but they ruined me, so I'm done with that. But there will be people that read this shit that'll be like, oh, this is the greatest shit ever. But everybody's talking the same, like evil scumbags. So, and they're like, oh, you human will not, like, put me on trial as a mutant. It's like a guy starts racism now in the comics. And then he's basically telling people and kids, hey, let's get weapons and hurt people because that's the way we get shit done. Government sucks. So all this stuff that's put in the comics, and now it's like, it's just, you lost. That's the person that's eating. Who is that? Is that you? Phillip?
Wow.
Are you eating?
No, it's my fucking microphone. It keeps
okay. All right, so this is what they lost the audience, but I'm afraid that people will read this shit and be like, this is the greatest shit ever. Let's make more shit like this. Sort of like Shin Gojira, which that was shit to me. But now that's the...
Thankfully, that's not being continued.
But that was the face now of Godzilla's logo, I guess. But whatever. All right, so get back to Terminator. Yeah, I don't think that this movie's going to do well. I don't think people are going to remember this shit at all.
We can only hope.
I think it's done. And I think, this is what bothers me is like as time goes on, all our favorite franchises are turning to shit. So that bothers me, Chris.
Thank God we have the Monsterverse.
So far. Until someone fucks that up.
Well.
Let's
wait and see.
Let's see what happens with Disney's fucking Alien movie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Or Predator movie that they're holding off on Predator right now.
They've been singing in it.
Yeah. And well, now I'm glad that Disney is laxing their rated R stance, that Deadpool is going to be the first to have rated R, and they're going to just make rated R movies now, Disney, because that's what they need to do. So a rated R Alien, absolutely.
Because they've been shying away from that stuff for years.
So Terminator Dark Fate is going to be all blood, nudity, gore. Is that what it is?
I think it's mostly just gore. I don't think there's going to be.
And with the nudity is what, when they show up naked? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So, are they going to show anything that they obviously they're going to show her naked? Is that what that's, or they're going to do a glance from the side?
I mean, they're probably going to show her on the Rev 9, but
like
naked.
Okay, and then that's going to be the rated R rating.
We know that there's a scene where she fights, police officers when she first gets there, and the Rev 9 he shows up in like an apartment complex or something.
All right, but basically we're going to see stuff. Is that why it's rated R? Because usually they could do a PG, like they could do a thing where they don't show that stuff.
Yeah, it's going to basically be the gore.
Okay.
When people get killed. The Rev 9 is apparently really brutal.
Is Linda Hamilton dying in this movie?
It wouldn't surprise me if she does.
She will?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they're having 90s flashbacks with the young John Connor, the CGIing his face on the body double.
Yeah.
So this is like the passing of the torch.
Yeah. I think her and Carl are gonna die. And it's gonna be the other two now.
They're gonna
Obviously,
die holding hands and shit or some shit.
No, I think I don't know. I think Arnold's gonna die fighting the Rev 9 because the fucking Rev 9 is throwing him around in the latest trailer like easily.
Well, she said she's gonna kill him at the end of it.
I think he's gonna be dead before she gets the chance.
Okay.
I think this is their final film. This has to be.
Well, I would think so.
Yes, and then they can continue the story with different people. That's probably what's going to happen.
And I don't really think that the choice of the Terminator wasn't that the Ghost Rider guy.
Oh, yes, it was.
I don't really see him as a Terminator. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what's interesting that they're doing with this now? Like, apparently the Rev 9 is like, he's like a fucking comedian. Like, he talks to the people before he kills them.
Oh, that's
like,
nice.
There's a part where he goes through like a metal detector and they're like, he's like, you guys better get ready. My whole body's a weapon. And then he looks at a guy and he goes, sorry. And then he just starts stabbing him.
Oh, so he's got a conscience.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, what?
Like, shut the fuck up, Dick. It's just kill the person already. Right. Dark Fate is going to be what the name is. Dark Fate, when that shit makes like fucking shit money. That would be what the title is. I don't think it's doing well.
I'm waiting for like the friggin' critic score to be like 97, and then I'm just gonna like bash my head against the wall.
I haven't heard anything that this is gonna do phenomenal. Because usually they say, "Oh my God, the box office."
I've actually heard the opposite. I've heard that they think it's gonna do terribly.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I haven't heard that it's gonna do well. Yeah. Right. Which is something else we have to talk about in the Everything Show because I want to ask you a question, but we'll leave this and we'll create a new one. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Phillip.
Yep.
Take care. Bye for now.